I took down the washing. In fact, I did everything I told myself I was gonna do today, which is good. Well, I've not technically finished cleaning my room, but like, I've put all the clothes back in the wardrobe. And for reference, I've never been putting the clothes back in the wardrobe. Like, it was literally like a pile this big under my desk. So, yeah, anyway, did that. Just did my quiz, and get this. So they're weekly quizzes, and more information for people to dox me. Um, when I started doing them, like I took my time. I took like 45 minutes doing one, and because like I've already got the maximum like points out of it that I can get, there's not really any point in me doing them anymore. But I was like, you know what? We're gonna make this fun. We're gonna try and speed run the quiz. Um, and I got like 90% basically. Like I got one question wrong. Um, in 16 minutes. So I kind of ate, and I only wrote one line of working, and that was because there was an equation that I had to rearrange. So I obviously had to write it down because like everything else I did it on the laptop. So yeah, um, today coping wise has been very fun, very chill. There's not very much point in me making these videos right now because there's nothing happening. Like, I'm not in the pits of hell anymore. But, well, so like, essentially what I'm saying is, I might not do these every day, or I might do them just to have a little sit down talk with myself for fun, um, and then set out goals to do for the next day, I guess. So, what I did want to mention though, is because all of this started because of broski. And I I realized on Wednesday that even though he's done all this shit to me and he ended up ghosting me in that, well, most likely, because in my mind, there's a possibility that he's like in hospital or something and has no access to his phone, and he's just like desperately waiting to get better so he can message me, right? Delusions. Most obviously not going to happen. If it does, I'm coming on here and I'm like, yes! But I don't think it's gonna happen. But there is that little part of me that's holding out for hope because he's perfect. Aside from the whole ghosting thing, that's not very perfect. But uh, mm, that's one thing that he did for me is that I have such a better image of myself now, all because throughout those 5 days he was like buttering me up and shit. I was like, because I don't have very high self-confidence, and I would like say kind of self-deprecating stuff or like, oh no, I'm not that pretty, because I genuinely like I genuinely believe that I'm average, and like I'm not delusional. I'm not here to be like, yeah, I look like a supermodel, every guy wants me, because that's no. I'm like, looking at me, I'm objectively just average. Like, I don't think I'm ugly, neither do I think I'm like model level, right? Although I've had one guy before be like, you could be a model, and I'm like, girl, you're actually lying to me. But anyway, broski, um, he he was basically just like, you're so beautiful, you're a goddess, you're like, what's her name? You're more beautiful than Aphrodite and shit. And I'm like, oh my god, that's like so cute. And then I'd act kind of cocky but playfully. So I'd be like, yeah, I am the best. And then he'd be like, oh my god, it's so good that you're like being all cocky and shit. And it's like, I love when you're cocky and I love when you're confident. So I'm like, oh, okay then, let me start feeding into this a little bit, because like that's what you do when someone says they like something that you do. You're like, well, maybe I'm just gonna do that because it makes you happy and it's not a big deal for me to be able to do that, so I'm just gonna do it. You know, it's like when a friend comes up to you and is like, hey, I really like your hugs. Let's hug more often. So what do? You end up hugging more often because duh. Um, and he would say that stuff where like I'd be like, yeah, it's because I am the best. Like that's why I got into all of like these places. And they'd be like, oh my god, that's like so hot. Oh my god, I love it, right? So I ended up doing it more. And I like because I did it first time jokingly and I was like, this is a joke. And he was like, oh no, like I'm gonna ignore the bit where you call this a joke and pretend that you're actually like this because it's so much better. So I'm like, okay. So I ended up feeding into it a decent amount. And on Wednesday, I was in class and we were like peer reviewing like an assignment that each of us has written, and I was peer reviewing this guy's um and I was just reading over it and I was giving him like criticism about like grammar and like how it could be structured better and blah blah blah. And then he's like, because I did mine, well, I did like the research for it a little bit earlier, but I just didn't write it up. So I ended up writing it in 45 minutes, um, on like the night before we did the peer review. So he's like, I mean, yours is like pretty good for 45 minutes. I'm like, yeah, I know, like, I'm a pretty good writer. Like, I'm a really good writer. Something to that effect. And he was like, wow, no humility. You're like, wow, humility is not your strong suit or something like that. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure he meant it as a joke, but I was like, I just sighed in that moment. I was like, like, I'm exaggerating. Like, obviously, like, humility is a strong suit, but like, obviously, I am humble, but like, in this aspect, like, I'm confident in my abilities to do this thing. And I never would have done that shit if I hadn't spoken to broski, Because, like, oh my god, it's actually so weird. Because how can a really shit situation have made me such like an emotionally better person? Like, I was in the pits of fucking hell dealing with this emotionally. And now that I'm kind of starting to put it past me, like, oh my god, I've not even looked at like our chat logs today. Because every day up until this point, like, I'd remember a specific word that we used, and I'd like search up on the Instagram chat logs and like read through the chats and just be like, I remember this. This was such a fun moment, but I wouldn't be like, oh my god, I really, right? I was just like, oh my god, I remember. So fun. Um, and I've actually not done that today. So I genuinely do think that I am moving on. Like, I still do, like, occasionally. Well, over time I probably won't. But today I did scroll down to, like, his little profile in the Instagram direct section. It's, like, sent last week. So I'm like, because I used to check that shit obsessively. It used to be, like, multiple times an hour, or and then moved into multiple times a day, even though it'd been a decent amount of time where he should have responded. But just like out of wanting him to do it, I used to check it, and I've not even checked it today, which I think is a good sign. Yeah, I don't know. I think as shitty as everything was, I think it is. I think I'm just like becoming a better person because of it. Oh my god, I feel like I'm gonna cry right now. Like, because I'm not happy necessarily that I've been ghosted, especially by someone who I thought I had such like a good bond with and could have seen potential with. But even so, despite all of that, he made me want to go into therapy. And sure, I've been saying that I want to go to therapy, or that I need to go to therapy rather. I've been saying that I need to go to therapy for multiple years now at this point, but I've just never wanted to because, like, oh, I can deal with these situations by myself. Like, I can do this by myself. Like, I've done it by myself all my life. What is one more situation? Nothing. And then he made me break down so bad, so emotionally, that I'm like, fuck, I actually can't handle this by myself. Like, I have issues. Like, what am I doing literally on my fucking knees outside my bathroom door and my bedroom door? I'm on my fucking knees in like like the Japanese like pose where like your head's on your hands, right, and then you're on your knees. I was basically in that fucking pose. I'm mid crying as well, so I'm in this pose. My head is fucking down, so all the snot and shit it goes to my nose. So I'm like, dear God, dear any spiritual figure that may be out there, please listen to me. I am not religious, and yet I'm believing just for this one moment for this fictional fucking God. Well, in my opinion, fictional, because I don't believe. I also don't care if other people. I want to clarify that. But in my mind, this fictional God, this being that might not even exist, I am praying and begging to it, them, whatever, so that I can get a message back from him. And I had to stop during my mini prayer session like 2 times to blow my nose because I was like not able to speak because everything was just running in and it was like blocking my nose and my mouth because your nose and your mouth are connected, right? And then I stood up after doing that. I blew my nose. I went into my bathroom. My eyes are fucking red. I'm just staring at myself. And then I like back away. I'm like holding my head. I'm like, Amelia, you're not okay. Amelia, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, you're actually going crazy. Because in that moment, I genuinely felt like I was going insane. Which is fucking terrifying. And I knew that shit had gone too far. And I was like, fuck this, I need therapy, bitch. I've never felt that bad in my whole life before now. And I've probably come pretty close to that state. Like, I've done some things that I'm not proud of. I've experienced some situations and been a part of situations that make me sick to my core. And yet I've never felt that, like, mentally insane and mentally deranged as I did in that moment. Which is insanity for someone I spoke to for 5 fucking days. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you literally. It's mad. It's so mad. Yeah, that was literally how I decided that I want to go to therapy. And then this whole, like, actual confidence boost in myself is purely because of him. Because someone every single day, in like every 5 fucking texts, basically. Well, I'm exaggerating when I say 5. It was more like probably maybe it was 1 in 5. Well, I'm meaning texts in like back and forth. So like my group of texts, his group of texts, one like counts as one text, right? Because his group of texts, like I'm a paragraph typer, he's like an individual. Desk clamp just went crazy. He's like sentence, 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 and paragraph. So I'm not counting those sentences as individual messages. I'm counting the block of sentences as one message. So in like every 5 message blocks, he would be complimenting me and like calling me some cute pet name and shit. And I would eat that up. And I still do, and I still would. And I guess I just got so used to it. Like, that my brain developed Stockholm syndrome for it. And now I just like, I almost believe that about myself. Like, do I still think I'm more beautiful than Aphrodite? No. Do I still think I'm like the most beautiful, most perfect person ever? No. But I do believe that I'm pretty. God, I'm feeling the tears again. I do feel that I'm pretty and that someone is capable of finding me pretty, even though before I didn't. And I have a much bigger confidence boost in my abilities because a few times someone said that they believed in me. Like, it's genuinely so weird. Like, 'cause I had a test while I was talking to him, and I was like, oh my god, I need to go, like, I've got my test soon. And he was like, no, it's fine, like, you're gonna do great. And I'm like, I really don't know. I got like 50% in the practice test that I did by myself yesterday, so I'm not really feeling too confident. And he's like, shut up with that negativity. Like, shut up. You're gonna do amazing. And I left that test. Well, while I was actually in the test, God, I'm rambling so much. Clearly I'm in like a good mood because I'm talking a lot, and if I'm in a good mood, then I talk a lot. Anyway, so I leave that test. Well, no, sorry, in the test, I sit there. We're like maybe halfway through, and I'm like thinking like, fuck, like it's kind of hard. And then like I remember, it's so embarrassing. But I remember like his words of confidence in me. And I was like, he believes I can do it. Like, he believes in me more than I believe in myself. And sometimes you just need that. You need someone to be like, you're gonna do great. Like, I know you're gonna do great. Like, it's not even like it's a no-brainer for you. Like, obviously you're gonna do great. And like I remember the shit that he texted to me while I was in that exam, and I was like, I need to get out of here and make sure that I do good for him almost, right? And then I got my test back and I got 100%. And I'm like, what the fuck? Because I literally told him, like, I mean, I think I did pretty well, but like, I don't know. I'd rather believe that I failed so that I can be surprised by anything that I get. And I still have that mentality. I still think in any future test that I go into, I will go into it believing that I will fail and that I will not do a good job. Because then when I leave it and I get a good mark, as subconsciously I know that I will, in most cases, then I'll be surprised and like happy by it. It's like, oh my god, like I did that, like me, little old me. But I don't know, it's so weird. It's like one of those things where it's like you don't know what you have until it's gone, almost. I mean, like I knew what I had while it was still there, which is completely besides the point. Like I knew all the shit that he was doing for me mentally. Like mentally, I was feeling like the happiest I've ever fucking felt, probably. Texting a fucking guy who's ghosted me. But we're gonna get over it, and we're gonna go to therapy, and I'm gonna be the best in therapy because I'm actually willing to go, and it's not my friend that's forcing me into it this time. Because that was gonna be a thing that happened soon, because I had a breakdown while drunk one time. Like a complete mental breakdown. And she was like, girl, we need to have an intervention. And we had this intervention. She was like, you need to go to therapy because this is bad. And I'm like, but I mean, like, I can handle it. Like, now that I know it's an issue, I can, be a little more conscious of it. She was like, bitch, you need to go to therapy. And I was like, I mean, like, you can look into therapy for me. Because I don't really care to go. But if you insist on doing it, then maybe I'll do it. But this time it's like, I actually kind of want to go for myself, which is always like a good thing because you should want to do things for yourself. And like, I've been slowly getting convinced the past like few years because I'd been seeing myself in a lot more like emotionally vulnerable and emotionally unstable states. Um, and then my mum was basically saying like our whole family needs therapy. And I'm like, but like I'm coping, like I'm fine. And she started giving like logical reasons as to why I should be in therapy. I can't remember a single one of them, but the way that you reason with me is to give me logical points as to why it's a good thing. And this bitch gave me that. And I'm like, just sat silently in the car and I'm like, fuck, she's making good points. But I still don't want to go. But I don't know. I guess it's just like a combination of all of that. God, I should stop talking. I talk too much. But this is a sign of my healing, I think, mentally. Mentally, maybe I'm just in a better place is all. Because, oh my god, I bet if you watch day 1, day 2, then I'm just dying. Like, I'm there like, hiya. You know what I mean? Oh my god. I made myself cry by doing that, but oh lord. But I'm so clearly not in a good place. Um, and even in like the 3 days that followed since that, infinitely so much better. Like if you take me and compare me to day 1 me, it's like, are we even the same person? Yes, we are. No, I wasn't on my period then. For any of you men, come in my comment sections. Who am I kidding? Not a single man is gonna fucking watch this unless broski responds and I'm sending him the whole channel. Like, yes, bitch. Reap the consequences of your actions. You did this to me. You're gonna see me break down. Ugh. Clearly, I'm in too good a mood. Oh, I need to stop talking. But talking is so much fun. I talked to myself for 2 hours one time about why my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh character is my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh character. I just sat on a spinny chair in front of my bedroom mirror and I was like, so this is why he's my favorite. The audio was gonna be so messed up at this bit. Whatever. Okay, I actually need to end this. Jesus Christ. Okay, plan for tomorrow. Do we do homework or do we do psychology? I mean, technically they're the same thing. Okay, I think we do half of the homework questions and make a start on psychology stuff. That's what we do tomorrow. Yeah. Okay. That means half the homework, the other half of the homework will be Sunday, and psychology will continue. Okay. I talk too much. Yahoo! Bye bye.